Hello, friends. My name is Lauren Conaway, and I am founder and CEO of Innovate Her KC. It is 11:30 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, and we are here to spring clean your business. We are super excited to have with us an illustrious panel of thought leaders and experts in the marketing space here to help you power up your business. Now, for those of you who don't know, Innovate Her KC, we are a 4,300 plus member women's leadership community here in the Kansas City area. We serve women leaders in the verticals of entrepreneurship, civic engagement, community advocacy, education, the arts, nonprofit and corporate management, just a lot of different women from different backgrounds. And we do so with a lens to low barrier to entry and inclusion. We serve our members through what we call the 5 pillars of action. Those are social connection, professional development, mentorship, championship, and resource sharing. And we're very, very proud to do so. And one of the things that we see often in our virtual community, we find that we see a lot of the same kinds of questions coming at us time and time again. And one of those topics that we see questions on a lot is marketing. So when we were putting together a list of topics for this Spring Clean Your Business series, we decided that we wanted to pay some special attention to marketing because we know that our members and we know that our audience has a lot of questions in that vein. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We are very, very excited to have with us today some really fantastic experts. We have Valerie Schlosser with VMLY&R. We have Kerri Voyles with Flourish Creative. We have Jannae Gammage with The Market Base. And then giving us a fireside chat with Mary Ricketts, who is the Innovate Her KC board president, we have Dr. Cass Butler Dunlap of the LuxeStyle and Cass Butler Media. So we are thrilled to have such amazing panelists with us here today. We're going to get right to it. And I am going to go ahead and bring Miss Mary Ricketts up. Hello, Miss Mary. How are you? Oh, you're on mute, my friend.
Listen, I did it. Listen, I've got my notepad. I'm ready to take notes.
Whenever we have these events, we always we hear such gems coming from our experts and our panelists. Like, I have a notebook too.
And I think that's the important side of this. It wasn't just to do something. It really is to, how do I spring clean my business? How do I dust off the cobwebs in every area? So if you don't have yours, please go grab your pen, grab your notebook, grab your journal. Take some notes. You're going to hear some gems.
And you're going to thank yourself later for that, for being prepared for this. Also, as we're kind of talking and exploring the subject of marketing with these experts, think about the kinds of questions that you want to ask. You have a really unique opportunity right now to pick the brain of an expert, people who are paid to give this kind of advice and have these conversations. They're giving it away for free. And we are so honored that they're doing so. But, please use the opportunity. And if you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments. We'll see them right here on StreamYard. We will pop them up on the screen. We will ask our experts. We really want to make sure that this is an opportunity for our members and for our audience and for our friends and collaborators to have their questions answered. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our friend Cass and Mary. I'm going to let you take it away, my friend.
Yes, thank you so much. Oh, I get to hang out with my girlfriend.
Good morning, Miss Mary.
Oh, and hello, Cass. Oh, my goodness.
I got my notebook, too. See? When I saw the panel, I said, I got to take notes. I'm learning.
We should always be in that learning mode, right? We should always be in that learning mode. And you guys, yes, she is humble. She is phenomenal. She's fabulous. Yes, she is Dr. Cass Butler Dunlap. And she's like, just call me Cass. So we will hang out with her for a little bit, and the rest of the panel is going to join us in a moment. But Cass, let me kick us off with this, because you and I have known each other for years, and I've learned so much from you. Like, it'll bring tears to my eyes how some of the things that you have taught me and shared with me have made phenomenal leaps and bounds in my business, that when I get to come back, it's like, oh my God, it worked. It's so phenomenal. It is. So let's start with this. Let's talk about, where did this passion come from you to deal with marketing?
It was an accident. It really was an accident, but I had to realize there are no accidents, right? So, and I'm a woman of faith. I'm going to just start with that. It's a God incidents is what I call it, right?
Yes.
So when I was a younger woman, I used to think that I was going to be a broadcaster. That was my heart's desire, right? And so I went to work in a television station, and I quickly learned, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a reporter and work my way up the ranks, right? And so I found a mentor and got in on the marketing department. And so I started working in marketing and advertising in traditional media and did that for a number of years and loved it. I loved everything about it. And from there, I went to work for a firm that basically was an aggregator for higher education institutions. Mm-hmm. We did everything from soup to nuts. We did paid search, we did search engine optimization, we did website, we did everything for higher ed institutions. We had about 1,300 clients. And I stayed there for a few years and left that operation and went to work in higher ed and operations and marketing, but still needed to be more hands-on in marketing. So I took some contract work for a company doing paid search and pay-per-click work. And I was good at it. So some of my clients were like dating sites. And I was like their core user. So, I could get on Google or Internet Explorer or Bing, whomever, and see my ads. When we had the search engine results pages, right. I could see my ads right at the top because I knew what they were looking for because it was me, right? So like, look, no judgment. I just knew. But like right. I had some gaming clients too, and I didn't do as well there, but I was doing that work on the side and, I made, really good money doing that on the side as contract work. And, but then I got to this point where I really needed to like really own what I was doing and really fulfill that creative side of my brain. And blogging was taking off. And so I wanted to create my own website and play around with that. And I did. And I loved that. Like I loved owning my voice and telling people what I wanted to tell, my stories, right? My unique stories from my perspective, and then social media and sharing that part of my brand and really building my brand and my brand identity. And here we are. So that's kind of the quick version, because I could go on forever. We love to talk about ourselves.
Oh my goodness. We do. And we love to talk about our business. So share with us and yes, you all, we have just 2 of her businesses listed. We have LuxeStyle and CBM. Tell us about CBM. I know what it is, but share with the people.
Yeah, so Caspolar Media it's a boutique, it's a niche firm where I do website design, branding, and social for small businesses. And I was really niche though, because my focus is on urban revitalization, think economic development and those things. But for clients that I love and adore, like Mary Ricketts, I will expand to help serve them. I also do, I launch courses. So I do some content creation or coursework or curriculum development, I should say, as well under that platform, under that brand.
So how did you decide? Because, and I know you and I spoke a lot. We all have these wonderful ideas, right?
Yeah.
The creative juices flow. And we know that we're not living in that world where, hey, I built a website and they will come.
Right.
We're not in that world. Or I have a blog. I've got a podcast. I'm on Instagram. We're doing all of those things. So because to us, that's marketing, right? Or is it? Because if, when you're that entrepreneur or the solopreneur, we do the things that we see other people doing. If you could explain to a brand new person, you're speaking to a high school class, how do you explain what marketing is?
How do I explain what marketing is? Gosh, that's a great question. So I would explain marketing is really just marketing and advertising are totally different. So that is a great question. So I would say marketing is just the creation, the awareness, creating the awareness of what it is you're offering, right? It is really just, in very layman's terms, it is, that's just it, the awareness, creating the whether it's your brand, your service, whatever it is, the creation of that product or service, and putting it out, whether it's on the internet, whether it's your store, wherever it is, it's that.
It's how do we create I wrote that down.
How you
I did, creating the awareness of it, because we do, and I can remember calling you with that question. It's like, hey, I created my course.
Yeah. But it's not enough. Yeah,
it's not.
It's not. You're right. It's not a build it and they will come. There's more to the story. There's so much more to the story. There's a lot of moving parts. It's just the very top of the
top some of the moving parts, because it is so much, and it's overwhelming. I've probably called you times with tears in my eyes and maybe something in my hand that didn't look like
it's overwhelming for the professionals. So I can't imagine for the small business owner. They probably feel like they're failing several times a day. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I heard you mention blogging. You started. Is blogging still important? And do you still blog?
I do still blogging. I think blogging is critical. I think that to have a website is not enough. There are, you count them, right?
Right.
There are millions and millions of websites, and it's static, right? If you just have a website and you're not developing it in some sort of a way every day. If you think about your own habits, you go to a website and maybe you see what you want or you don't see what you want, and you go away and you may never come back. But if you're blogging, you're adding an additional element to the website, right? You're creating an experience or a story or something for your ideal core valuable user that's giving them a reason to continue coming back. And so they might be coming back for this information, for the story, for whatever it is that you're writing about. But maybe while they're there, they're also doing something else, right? So I think that blogging, and that's something that you own, right? So not Facebook, not Instagram, not YouTube, whatever.
Right.
It's something that you yourself own, that gives them a reason to keep experiencing what's happening on your website, right? You're developing a relationship.
Okay.
Right? There's some transaction that's happening there. So you're developing a relationship with your customer or prospective customer.
I like that.
So I think that blogging is very important.
It's still relevant. It's still relevant. So when it comes to, and I want to pull off something else you talked about before, which was branding. Talk to us about branding.
Man,
I know it's like everything, right? It's like a whole big ball. Pick whatever piece of that pie you want to.
So that's what I was going to say. Like branding is so broad.
Huge.
So where do we want to go there? So we'll just talk about, your brand personality, and that's how your customers would describe you, like what they would say about you when they would describe you to someone else, or when they think about you, or that emotion, right? When they're reflecting back on you. And it's like you have some sort of, what do I want to say? Some responsibility in crafting what your brand personality is going to be. And what else? Here's what I'll give you about brand personality. If it's on a t-shirt, or if it's somewhere else, or if it's like a really popular pop culture catchphrasey kind of thing, don't include it in your brand personality. Your brand personality really needs to be a very unique experience for you and your brand, right? And I would just try and get it honed down into 3 very specific words about your brand. So for me, let's say one of my personal, we have several, but one of my personal brands, if we just want to focus on the LuxeStyles, and if people were to pull up my feed and just take a look at it, they would walk away and be like, okay, so she's very much the internet auntie. She loves Jesus. You cannot say this woman's not a freak about Jesus and coffee, right? And, and she is and this is just not me going, and she's a fashionista. Like these are the things they're going to walk away with, right? Easily. So either they're gonna tap into that, they're gonna lean into that, they're gonna say that's not my thing. Let me go somewhere else, right? It's one way or another. Yeah.
So what did you do to grow your business? Let's just look at even with LuxeStyles. What did you do to grow that?
I was me, and that's the long and the short of it. People want relationships. People want it. This is in business, period, right? Because there's so much that's accessible out there on their own. But the days are gone where you really had to sell people on what you offer them, right? Information is available to them. So they do a lot of their own, right? So people really want relationships. They want to go on your journey. They want to know about you. They want authenticity. They want transparency. And so if you're going to put yourself out there, you have to be prepared for that. So I just was authentically me. And, I show up. So when I'm out there, I'm talking, I'm communicating, I'm experiencing them, right? So I'm not just saying, hey, here I am, talk to me. I'm going out and I'm talking to them. So I'm engaging with people as well. My ideal core users, I'm engaging with them as well. And I think that's how I grew my platform in all my business. Now I have one business that's not online at all. I mean, we don't use social media at all. And it's probably my biggest business, but that's very niche. So not every brand needs to have that presence. So it really does depend. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think and I'm only saying this because I talked to you, that when our businesses are very, very niche, if I said I work with this really, really specific area, I may not need to be as gigantic, on the social media platforms as I would if I'm probably a little bit broader.
But it is about content creation. So I say that, but I'll have to say I have to understand, because I understand how to write copy, right? How to talk to my audience. So it's a business that exists on Amazon and eBay, but I understand how the algorithm works and how to write and how to take great photography that's going to appeal to people's emotions. So while we don't need a website, I don't need to be on social. I understand those things. And so I don't need the rest.
Right. If there was one thing that you would share with all of our members that you learned, kind of that, this is what I learned the hard way when it came to, marketing and branding your business, especially CBM, what's one or two of those lessons that you learned that maybe you learned a little slower than you wanted to, or like, nope, I caught this quick and fixed it and it made a difference in your business?
So it's not CBM. It's one that I learned, I think, that led me to do my own thing. And it's that all money is not good money. So, and it's when I was working that contract work for an affiliate marketer, and I'm not going to throw names. People could do their own research. So they had a white hat division, which is the division I was working for. And so we did things ethically. We did our paid search ethically. We did our pay per click ethically. We did all those things the right way for the search engines. And they had a division I was not aware of, which was black hat. And so those are the things that the algorithms don't like, right? That got them into a lot of trouble. And so, I didn't work for them day to day. So I didn't understand that those things existed. They got into, the feds came down on them. I'm just going to put it that way.
Wow.
There was a lot of media about them. once I understood what was happening, I was kind of nervous waiting for the knock on the door. Like, I was
And we're
really
coming for you
afraid of
too.
what might happen. You know,
Right.
made a lot of good money because I was good at what I was doing, not because I was employing any unethical tactics.
Right.
And so I was very concerned about that. And so I would say that not all money is good money. And you just be, you know, it was gig work before Fiverr and things like that were big.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, understand who you are working with if you are trusting your business to someone else. Ask deep questions to understand how they are getting the results that they are getting for you. And people should be transparent about the work that they are doing for you. There is nothing that should be off limits when it comes to your business in the data that they're sharing for you. You know, great conversions are great, right? But if it's too good to be true, ask good questions about that. So I think that was a lesson, even though it was not my business. Those are things that I know now as a business owner, that I think it would be important for clients to ask of people that they're handing their business. Really, it is their business, right? Because it's their life.
It is.
Handing their business over to. Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's almost scary, isn't it? When you just find some random company to work with and it's like, oh, we need your login and password so that we can get into everything. I'm like, isn't my credit card information behind the scenes on that? So how do you protect yourself? You know, from the random people?
That's a good question. So here's some things that I've learned, you know, just working with smaller businesses. They're so ready to give you like access to everything. And you have to teach them there are ways that you can make me a user on your account without giving me these things. And that's frightening, right? They're ready to give you their passwords and all those things. And it's really just an education process. They don't know what they don't know. And you wonder what they've encountered before then, because I don't want to say everyone has bad intentions, but you just don't know.
You don't know.
There are ways that you can just make people users on your accounts, right? And give them limited or restrictive access to these things. Or, you know, there are applications that you can use that they can use that basically scheduling applications or things like that. Or when you get to websites, there are still things that you can do to make people give them very restricted rights, right? So that they don't own your domain and can do
access to everything. That's always made me a little nervous. That's why I don't think like Caucasians. I'm calling you. So I know we got a few more minutes before we bring up the panel. And yes, you'll be on the panel hanging out with us as well. But talk to me about creating marketing plans. And is that really something we need to do as, you know, small business owners? Do we really need to have structure and processes? And
I think that you should have, I think plans are still important, or goals at least, right? As small businesses. You know, we used to do these things where so comprehensive, even down to where we understood how much we were spending, or we'd want to invest so much per square foot. You know, when we had brick and mortar businesses, like it was really that deep. I don't think that's necessary so much anymore, but I think that it's really important to have a mapped out strategy, right? That we are working towards, because you can't measure or inspect what you're not expecting, right? So I do think that it's important that you're not just throwing things and see what's sticking. I think that if you map it out, right, and you're visualizing it and you are analyzing what you've mapped out, you're more apt to stick to that plan. So I think that it's important. Yeah.
Give us, let's chat just a little bit more on branding. And you and I talked one day because of the courses that we have through my company, through Turning Point Training and Development. But we teach a very, very basic, very, 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 very basic, like personal branding course. How important is personal branding to line up with my business brand?
Your personal branding or business brand? Well, it depends. Is your personal brand's voice the same as your business brand voice? I would say for you, as a facilitator of your business brands, they probably should align very closely, because you are the direct representation. There's no separation there.
Right.
So I think that the symmetry is the exact same. I don't think there should be any deviation, because you are the face. So your personal brand should be, you don't have as many facilities. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was going to say, does it matter then, because we have 3 other facilitators and trainers on now, but even for, another organization, even thinking of like Innovate Her KC, where we have this dynamic leadership team,
Yes.
and, we plus our board, how important is it for us to make sure that, team members, I hate the word employees, but team members, that their personal brand lines up a little bit better with the business, or does
the business brand?
Yeah.
For me, that's a bit different. So, you want to have like-minded people representing your brand, right? Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that the tone of voice is along the same lines of Innovate Her KC, right? So you're speaking the same language, right? There still needs to be some symmetry there, right?
Right.
So I think that when you have, I'm drawing a complete blank. So it's for me, it's the same as when you have someone that's you hire someone to represent your brand and handle your brand and do all the social media for your brand. They understand your brand voice. It would be the exact same thing. So when they're out representing Innovate Her KC or out facilitating or whatever it is, they understand what your brand is, so they communicate in the same brand voice. So it would be the same thing.
It would be the same. So as leaders, what you're really saying is we need to know our brand.
Yep, they understand the mission. They can speak the same language. They're on brand basically because they're representing Innovate Her KC. Yeah.
I think that's going to have to be my new one. Get on brand. Can I use that? Get on brand.
Mm-hmm. Get on brand.
Isn't that awesome? You should blog that one.
Yeah.
Blog that one. Because I think sometimes we miss that. I've seen it in a couple of clients that I've coached throughout the years, and I'm like, that doesn't match with your website. Your website looks like this. But then when I come to your facility, it looks like this.
Yeah, so it'd be like if you're a small business and you're not a strong copywriter, which is completely fine, but you hire someone to do your copywriting, they have to understand your brand voice in order to write for you. So it would be the same thing. Yeah.
I love that. So for those of you who are also taking notes and just trying to think, well, I don't even know what the heck a brand voice is exactly. Those are the things that we have to start talking about and have to connect with those that are professionals in their industry. I can remember years ago, Cass, when we met, and I can remember what my old partner saying, that old saying, you have to spend some money to make some money.
Yeah,
And oftentimes, and I remember working with another, media queen in Kansas City a couple of years ago. And I can remember hearing the stories of oftentimes we make the mistake in business, and marketing is one of the first things that will trim back.
Because people still see it as an expense. And it has to happen to grow your business. Just because we exist doesn't mean you said it, it's not a build it and they come. Just because we're there on the street corner doesn't mean people are going to pull into our doors. We have to invite them in, which is where the advertising comes in.
And and I remember even thinking of people feeling very, very competitive in the same industries. And I would always give this scenario of how many burger joints are out there? And sometimes they're on the same. Well, for you, it'd be salad bars and things. How many salad, organic restaurants are close, but we don't have to feel like we directly compete. We just need to make sure that our particular message is crisp and clear. Am I thinking right?
I've always said for years, like probably for the last 15 years, do you believe that Coca-Cola does the things they do because they want to or because they have to?
Ooh.
It's just really that simple. Yeah.
What's the answer?
Or Nike or whomever it is. Like
They do it because they want to, right?
Well,
And a little bit because they
it's
have
a little
to.
bit of both.
Yeah, okay.
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of tennis shoe companies out there too. You know, and I think that's so key. And when we think about marketing our businesses, and the ladies will be hopping in here in just a moment. Lauren's going to come in and kick us off with our panel discussion. Those are those questions that we get so often from our members, because I think we're like 4,300 members, and oftentimes it's, I don't know how to grow my business. I don't know how to market. I don't know where to go. You know, how do I do this? Do I have the right colors? What all matters?
Yeah.
What all matters? So Lauren is in, and we're going to bring in
Hey, Lauren.
Yes,
Hey.
we're going to bring in some more fabulous women to keep talking about this conversation, and we're going to get a little bit more tactical.
That's right.
I can't wait to hear. I'm ready.
She's writing.
Honestly, if you don't have your notebook handy, then what are you even doing in this world? I've got mine right here. So you say my name and I appear. I wanted to pop in here because we have with us here today, in addition to the illustrious Dr. Cass. I'm just going to call you Dr. Cass now. Like, that's your name. You know, we have some amazing panelists with us here today. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring them up. And we're going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves. But we have with us here today, we have Jannae Gammage of the Market Base, also a new IHKC leadership team member. Whoop, 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 whoop. We have Kerri Voyles of Flourish Creative, and then we have Valerie Schlosser with VMLY&R. And we're going to have a really great panel discussion. Like Mary said, this portion of the conversation tends to get a little bit more tactical. We want to give you some real actionable strategies that you can use in your business today. Yeah, like you can just implement it right now. So let's go ahead and just kick it off. And the first question that I'm going to ask, and Mary and I are going to be tag teaming throughout this thing, and we like kind of furiously text each other. If you see us doing that, we're like, okay, where do you want to go? But so the first question that I'm going to ask is kind of the softball, and we're going to do a round robin, and I'll go ahead and call on people just so we don't have that awkward, can I jump in? Can I talk now thing? But the question is this. Tell us about your marketing journey. How did you come to work in marketing? How did you come to do what you're doing so very passionately and brilliantly? That's what we want to know right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start in my lower right-hand corner, and I'm going to ask Valerie if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. So I was actually listening to Cass earlier and related quite a bit in terms of the idea of this all being a lot of serendipity. So I was an English major in college and didn't know a lot about what I wanted to do other than I liked to read books and write papers. So I did that and then thought after college, I might want to be a copywriter. And so I sent my resume out to any advertising agency I could find. And a small one picked me up and threw me into paid and organic search. Another thing we kind of have in common. And I fell in love with essentially the idea of search intelligence, which is, discovering what people think about and what they're doing online, the trends of searches and things like that. So I did paid search for a long time, organic search for a long time, got deeper into analytics and, broadened my journey there. I've done, more broad display placements and digital media as well. Anyway, so I've done work with clients large and small, agency and client side, and that's all brought me to leading the paid search team at VMLY&R.
Well, and I have to tell you, so I was also an English major in college. And for most people, they're like, well, that sure is a useless degree. And I'm like, no. It's communication and it's understanding, it's understanding messaging at its most base form. So you and I, we're going to have to talk later. Kerri, how about you, my friend?
Thanks for having me here. So I grew up, I was always really creative. So when I went to college, I actually wanted to major in magazine design and had a upperclassman tell me, actually don't do that because there's no jobs. So I realized I could kind of blend my passion for for justice and causes and my passion for creativity. And so I focus on strategic communication and have done marketing both inside nonprofits and in agencies in my career. And now I have my own business where I serve a blend of clients, but all purpose-driven brands, and just help them grow through brand strategy and design. So still haven't done any magazine design yet, but I'm never going to close the door.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that, and I love that. And I just know from seeing you and your work that you are extremely passionate about what you do. In fact, all of these ladies are. Otherwise, we like having passionate people talk about the things that they love. It's one of our favorite things. Jannae, oh, my friend, let's hear your story.
Trying to get off unmute here. I always do that, so I didn't this time. Okay. Jannae, how did I get into marketing? So I previously spent 9 years in the military using data to find bad guys. I was an intelligence analyst, which really helps me with marketing now. But naturally, I was a creative just all of my life. And I've also been a business owner, entrepreneur since I was 14. I started my first business. Through a series of events, life events that just all culminated into a marketing agency. And now here we are in Kansas City with the market base. So lots of evolving and transitioning and really just figuring out what I liked. And I landed on marketing maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And yeah, that's how I got here.
Well, and I do just
bird's eye view.
You're underselling yourself a little bit. I do want to just note really quickly that the market base is up for the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce's it's equity business and emerging business. You're up for 2 chamber awards right now because of the amazing
They're
work.
Really nice.
And really so nice. I think, well, you say that they're really nice, and I say that you're really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Absolutely.
Okay, ladies, here comes my my first power question.
Oh boy.
Yeah, get ready. So here's what I want to talk about. So whether you're just speaking just about your own business or what you would do for a client, but what did you do to figure out who your ideal customer is? Ooh, y'all like that one? What did you do to really figure out who your ideal customer is? I'm going to go backwards in this one. So Jannae, Kerri, Valerie, and then Cass, we're going to bring you in on this one too. Jannae.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm unmuted. Okay. So, I run a marketing company, marketing technology, whatever. And figuring it out, I won't say that I figured it out because it's always evolving. So, our tactics for speaking to the right people is just a lot of listening and being quiet. Because your people will find you and they'll speak to you. So as long as you're solving those problems and creating solutions for those people, you figured out your ideal client. Now to go further, I refuse to work with a-holes, and I don't let my people be subjected to that. So as you work with more and more people and just listen, you start to figure out who you want to work with and who you absolutely do not want to work with. And you can start shifting your messaging that way. But I think that's really what it's been for us, and it's been working. And I know that will evolve eventually. And that's, just where we sit with it. So currently, yes, we're working with everyone we want to work with. And that's how we've been able to find them, is letting them find us and just listening to what people need and want. And yeah, that will shift. Did I answer your question?
All right. Next up.
I totally agree with what Jannae said in terms of sometimes it's also helpful to outline what your non-ideal is. You know, who are the sort of folks that you do want to work for, and then maybe what are your values, and your values are a part of your brand story and your brand personality, and do your ideal clients align with those? And so that can kind of be a filter through which you begin engaging with folks or not. And everyone has a different take on what that is, and everyone has different values where, it's for sure this one thing or not another. That's kind of vague, but like for me, one of mine is equity minded. So if the business is not that they have to be equity specific, but if they're not aligning with that value, then they're not an ideal client for me. And I think for your organization or for your business, you just have to determine what that is. And then I agree again with Jannae, just in terms of what are their biggest problems and biggest needs that maybe they don't even see yet, and how are you able to help find those solutions for them?
That is powerful.
Yes.
It brought me back to something when Kerri said that. I have there's some trigger words, some of those things that people say that just trigger you, and I listen for those trigger words.
Yes,
we are not going to be a good fit for
red flag. You feel it in your gut.
Yes,
yes,
the trigger words. Yes. We might have the product and service you need, but that trigger word could not happen. Mm-hmm. Valerie, love to hear from you.
All right. Well, I feel like there's not a whole lot to contribute to all the things that Jannae and Kerri said. They were very well stated, but I'll take a different angle. I feel like I really enjoy and appreciate relationships in which I feel useful. In terms of clients that are partners, that are true partners, in the way that I can educate and really be helpful. I appreciate clients that really want to learn and grow within this space. And let's face it, it's always changing. So I'm always learning and growing within it as well. And so kind of going along that journey side by side with my clients is always really rewarding. So, as opposed to, we all have those relationships where, somebody wants to kind of hire and dictate. And I'm not saying I refuse those. Those are just kind of part of it. But they're not nearly as rewarding. I really like to, like I said, I like to learn and to grow alongside my clients and be as helpful for them as I can.
I like that. Cass, are you ready? And I'm waiting to see if that PhD side comes out with some tactical way that she's done all this.
Well, let me tell you, going last, when all these great insights have been shared. So I think the one thing that maybe hasn't been said, and let's just say that you are relatively, new and you're trying to figure this out and trying to figure out how you can best serve and drill down is look at data. That might be one thing that you can do. You can look at data from your Google Analytics, like your insights that you're getting from your website. You can try and figure out where people are coming from, how they're engaging with you, how they're consuming when they're on your website, the types of devices that they're using when they're, coming to your website. Like, are they Android users, Apple users, those sorts of things, where they reside. You can get all sorts of data from your Google Analytics, even from your social media analytics, from your Facebook, which is going away, but in your Instagram, drill down into your data. You can do surveys, right? If you have an email list, you can design a very specific survey, I think, and really try and drive some information from them and ask some really good questions and aggregate that data as well, and try and get some good insights as well from your own survey. Those are free. I think email lists are gold mine. You start off with just an email and don't know much, but then you can, and those are people that are interested, right? They're interested in something about you. So I think that's really good information you can get from there as well. Outside of that, besides what Jannae and Kerri and Valerie shared, I got not much more to contribute, Mary.
No, that was awesome. That was awesome. Okay, so I have a pet peeve, and it's probably only one because I don't know much on marketing, and it's when it comes to websites. My God, today. Because to me, a website, I mean, that's like the first date, right? You know, I meet you, you give me your business card. Guess where I'm going? I'm going to your website. If we had a networking coffee, y'all remember when we used to do those face-to-face? We're getting back there. You know, I'm going to your website. How critical is it for your business, let alone the clients that you serve, for that website to be professional and crisp? And let me maybe even ask it a different way. Is it damaging? Is it damaging to their brand when that website looks like you did it yourself? Not that you did it yourself, but looks like you did it yourself. I'm going backwards. Valerie, I want to start with you on that question.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The website is imperative. And, you know, I would go beyond just looks and talk to usability. You know, UX is so huge. And one of the things that I look at on a regular basis, you know, when we're auditing, you know, from a paid search perspective, I work in a group that is composed of paid search, organic search, and performance content, which is kind of designed for us to look at an overall digital footprint, which means that your website has to be in order. So one of the first things that I'm going to look at is your page speed insights score. So for anybody that doesn't know about that, just go and Google it because it's a free Google tool. Go and check it out and see what your page speed insights score is, because it's going to tell you on mobile, it's going to tell you on desktop what that looks like for you. And, you know, as the algorithm, you know, I heard Cass talking earlier about from an SEO perspective, Google's scoring more and more heavily on these things, and it's important. So, you know, kind of, I could ramble about this for a really long time, but yeah, the website it's a really big deal. And just that people can use it is a really big deal, not just from a brand perspective and from a conversion perspective, but it's so you can be found.
So you want to know, I'm going to hop in here because I had an interesting experience not too long ago, and I just wanted to share it. When we're talking about UX and UI, I don't know that the average layperson really know, like, I think that most people have a conception of kind of what that means, but what does that look like in practice? And so I was on a call with a website that was just launching. And it was a really interesting process because I had never engaged in this process before, but they called me and they were asking me, they were pointing to buttons. We were looking at the website and they were pointing to buttons. And they were like, if you click on this button, what do you think should happen based on what you're viewing on this website? Where do you think you should be catapulted to on our website? And so that was a really interesting way to drill down, because I think that a lot of people, like when we look at websites, they can be they're pretty intuitive to people who are technologically savvy. You know, we kind of know where we're going to find information, but it was really interesting to drill down. So I would actually suggest maybe everybody try that. You know, talk to somebody, like talk to your grandma, or talk to somebody who's not on a computer a lot, and take them through your website and just ask them, what do you think should happen here? How does this experience organically unfold for you? And for the average layperson, I just feel like that was a really enlightening way to figure out, is my website functioning as it should? So yeah. I wanted to pop in there and share that anecdote because it was so fascinating to me. So forgive me, and we'll move on.
No, real quick, if I may layer onto that really fast, there's also software out there like Lucky Orange or something like that that is designed to monitor like what people are doing and heat map it for you, so you can see like nobody's doing anything on this section of my website, so we should try something different.
Yeah. Okay.
I love that. Kerri, your head was just like What would you like to add to that? And then I'm gonna pop an SEO question because that's just that's like a cuss word.
Yeah, I mean, our website is huge. It's your digital home. It's critical. And as Cass referred to earlier, it's the thing that you own, and you don't own the things on these other social platforms. So really having it be strategic and have a purpose and have it be professional. And the research shows people are going to make that impression within seconds. And don't you want that first impression to be a professional, put together one, because that's reflective of the work that you do. And I talked to a lot of organizations who struggle to invest in marketing at all, but a website, it's not necessarily cheap. I mean, you can build a cheap website, but it is an investment because you want it to reflect the quality of work that you have as a business owner, as an organization owner, and you want it to be strategic too. I hear sometimes folks will come to me and say, I just want a brochure, or they don't say this, but in my mind, I'm like, they just want a brochure website. And that's not worth your investment. So yeah, website is absolutely critical.
Kerri, you said something that I had to jot down when you said it should reflect the quality of work that we do. One of the other nonprofit boards that I serve on. Woo, y'all don't already know this. Hootin' nanny stuff y'all got on here.
I was like, wait a minute. We're not talking about Innovate Her Case.
We're not talking about Innovate Her Case. No. And we're not talking about KCC
clear.
It's another, and it's not KCC. It's like, oh, she serves on. No, it's not that either. Because just as a professional, it's kind of like when I walk out the house, I have to walk out a certain way, because I represent my business and I represent my team every time I walk out the door.
Absolutely.
Who wants to be our favorite to talk about SEO and what that cuss word even means? And I don't want to understand the analytics of Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. I don't want.
Why is it a cuss word?
You know why? Because I don't understand it.
It's really what we're talking about right now. It really is not very different than what we're talking about right now. It's search engine optimization, and it's really just when someone lands on your website. We're just going to talk about the things that can be controlled. Is your website fast? Does it load quickly? Right? Is it mobile friendly? Like when they get on your website, do they have to, on their cell phones, do these sorts of things to read your website, right? Which drives people crazy. They're getting out of there. They're not going to do those sorts of things. Does it have all these, flash or these crazy things on your website that really the search engines don't love anymore? And do you have enough referring pages or what the Google calls backlinks going to your website so that lends to its credibility, right? What are some other search engines? I'm trying to think of them all. There's a core algorithm update to it. I'm sorry, Kerri. Valerie. What were you saying?
Sorry,
I was thinking about the core algorithm updates. This is what I was trying to think of all the core algorithms.
And I still see basic meta tags not being implemented. That's a huge one.
It's another bad word.
For the
images.
viewers at home, what is a meta tag? Talk to let's pretend we're talking to me, who is a marketing 2-year-old.
Yeah. So from an SEO perspective, from a website perspective, there's just some little tags you can put on the back end that just give bits of information about the site. And a meta from an SEO perspective, you really only need to know about a handful of them. The meta title is a big one. The meta description is another. We used to worry about the meta keywords tag. We really don't anymore. But the meta title and the meta description are basically what you see when you search on Google or Bing or whatever your preferred search engine is. That's what the title and description are. And if you don't write a custom one, then it's going to kind of auto-generate which isn't going to help your rankings for one. And for another, it's not particularly user-friendly. People are just going to kind of see something that like trails off with, the ellipses, and it's not super informative, and you don't have any control over it. So it's definitely not ideal. And even, that's been one of the kind of SEO best practices for forever, but it's still something that people skip in website development.
Yes, we do. Let me ask this question. Jannae, I gave you a hint. So if you're not in the chat,
I don't interrupt. I don't know when it's like never mind.
You are good. So I asked Jannae if she would chat a little bit with us. What is an SEO audit? How often do we need to do it? Is this going to break the bank? Let's just
no. So as far as breaking the bank, there's plenty of tools to run an audit on your site. And it's literally what it says. It's an audit. Valerie was talking about meta tags, the things that Google is looking for on your site to verify this is a site that I should put, when someone searches pizza shop near me, these keywords hit and Google says, okay, I have 100 pizza shops near Jannae right now, whatever. Which one is most relevant to her? So it looks through all these things, meta tags, robot text, keywords just on your on-page content. If you're a pizza shop and you have pizza nowhere on the front page, are you a pizza shop to Google? Absolutely not, because it's a software. So just things like that. That audit is going to run through everything: mobile, site speed, the backlinks, and that creates a domain authority. So if you search Apple, apple.com is going to show up, not a picture of Apple from Wikipedia, right? Because Apple has established domain authority, backlinks, and just all the things that Google looks for. And that's really what you want. We need Google to understand that I'm a real site, I'm a real business. And when someone searches for something in this keyword category, I should be popping up. I should be on the map. I should be whatever. And I think people forget about Google My Business. A lot of people don't even know about it. And it's super important if you're a brick and mortar. If your Google My Business is not updated, and now they want you to start actually making posts and posting relevant content and images to show that you are real, because there have been so many SEO specialists, if I'm being honest, that have messed it up for ethical SEO specialists by doing different networks and creating BS sites just to create backlinks to your site. And Google has caught on to that. So they want to know who else is talking about you, who else says that Innovator KC, is a legit business, who else can vouch for you. That's become one of the biggest things. And then as well as, your on-site content. As far as audits, we do an audit every month on all of our subscribers, because things change, new businesses pop up. SEO is not a one-time thing. It's ongoing forever. As long as you have a website up, you should be doing SEO, updating it. You should be updating your website. So with new updates to your website comes new SEO tasks. So if you don't do those, now your website is outdated. And when you do that audit, now you're a little lower. When you're adding all this content in media is really what I'm talking about. You're slowing down your site. You're not mobily optimized. And if you don't know, everyone mostly is coming to your site from their cell phone. So mobile optimization is key when we're talking about SEO. I'm just ranting because and there's just so many things. I'm trying to hit the general things to just make sure that you're at least ranking, and also understand that as a new business owner, hiring an SEO specialist is not going to be your first hire, so you do have to do these things. And if you run an audit, and even if you find somebody on Upwork, you run an audit and you see these gaps, just a one-time project, please go fix these things, right? It's so important. And you know, like you guys said with website, it is the first place that someone lands, but they have to actually get there. And if your SEO is not right, it doesn't matter how good your landing page is, they'll never see it.
Right. So we actually, our website is actually built on a WordPress CMS. And I mean, I know that there are a lot of like really easy, user-friendly CMSs out there, content management systems out there. But one of the advantages of WordPress is that if you hook up, and I can't remember what the tool is called, but it actually does an ongoing running SEO audit, and it tells you like you're in the red zone on this page and this is what you need to do to fix it, and you know, now you're yellow, and then you know, green, everything looks good, you're doing the things you need to be doing.
Yoast. It is Yoast, Valerie's right.
Yoast, thank you.
I don't like WordPress.
I update it like every 3 days, it feels like. So
I think there's a lot of better. WordPress is awesome as a site designer, and it used to be super user-friendly. It's starting to get a little complicated for someone who knows nothing about building a website. It requires plugins to really do all the little SEO tasks that you need. And I just think that's not user-friendly at all, especially when there's so many website builders that as soon as, you know, do it for you now. And I, as an entrepreneur, small business owner, just starting out with no web design experience, who has to do it on themselves, no SEO experience, you don't know to go get that plugin. You don't know to go do an audit. So you kind of need that help until you really can bring on team members that can say, hey, this is really messed up. Like, I'm going to fix this. You don't know what you don't know. So I hope no one from the WordPress staff is on here, but I hate it.
It's in there.
There's so many better options. I just encourage when you do build your website to look at how SEO friendly. They have blog posts showing which are the best website builders as far as being SEO friendly. So I would select one of those.
So really quickly, because I really want to make sure that we're sharing useful information, let's do like a quick lightning round on what are some of those SEO audit tools that you use, and what are, like, just name them, and I'm gonna be typing furiously, and I'll share them out in the comments. And anybody, like, feel free to like comment anybody.
SEMrush.
Yes, SEMrush. Yep.
Wait, hold on. What was that?
I'll type them. Do you want me to type some?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you guys got some favorites, we can put them pop them in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm typing Mongols, or whatever. That's more for keywords, which is also very important. But if you don't know much, I don't know how useful it'll be. But I typed in some of the ones we use.
Okay. Well, and if you think of any more, feel free to pop them into the chat. We did get, so we are going to open up the discussion for Q&A just a little bit later, but we did get a really pertinent question from one of our audience members, and I kind of want to interject it and ask it now. So the question is this: when we approach companies / consultants about our SEO and website optimization, what should we focus on with a small budget? And I think that is a fantastic question.
Wow. I'll chop in. I think that's a loaded question because every industry is so different and diverse. And if you've never done SEO on your site, you're starting from the bare minimum. Gmb and Link Optimization, I'd ask Valerie to hop in on this. I think link building is fairly cheap now. What you do have to be careful with is that they're not using what's called a PBN, which is, like I talked about earlier, just a bunch of fake sites, because now Google has included that in their algorithm for crawling. And they'll figure that out and actually rank you lower as a fake site. So credibility, really, some of these SEO people are not ethical at all. They're just doing SEO tags. So go ahead, Valerie, sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, like, you don't even need me. I mean, this is good. I agree with all of that. And to dovetail off of what you said, I think that, yeah, definitely don't buy backlinks. That's, there are places that will try to get you to buy backlinks. Just run away. The backlink building process can be tedious, but it is something you can often have like a relatively entry level person working on pretty consistently. I would say like, and since you mentioned GMB, I would also say, like, I'm not totally sure with this question if we're talking about like brick and mortar or e-commerce, the answer would kind of vary based on that. But I would definitely start with, like, go back to the audit. I would start with an audit, and that would be the first thing I would invest in. And then, based on that, you can determine, okay, like, who of my people might be able to handle some of these items in-house potentially. And then, maybe there are a couple of things that we can, we would outsource and invest in until we can, really commit to this full time and hire someone or hire someone in-house or hire someone at an agency.
So I'm gonna switch this up just a little bit on this. You guys are making my brain hurt.
It makes my brain hurt too. So.
Listen, but this is why we're like, it's so important to know our strengths and weaknesses. And, I know how to stay in my lane. But let me ask this question because it was in the chat and I think it is pertinent. When it comes to social media,
oh boy,
my goodness, when we think about what I'm just be honest, I've become addicted to Clubhouse. That I now have to put Clubhouse on hold.
It really has.
I put it on hold for a week. But social media, how do you authentically, organically grow your social media for your business? And what are some tips that you could share with everyone? And I'm going to do Kerri and then Cass.
This is a really good question. I think it depends on you, your organization, and your goals. I think something that is really helpful for business owners to think about is what social channels they should be on, so they can be really strategic about where they show up, because showing up on social takes time and energy. So you want to be showing up on the place that has the greatest ROI, shall you say, for building relationships and growing your business or growing your movement. I think another thing that leaders can do more often to organically grow is really be bold and put yourself out there as the face of the brand. Or even if it's an organization with many leaders, showcase your people, because that's what people want to engage with. People want to connect with people, and they want to be all of the things. They want to be inspired by people and educated by people. So being able to show up as yourself authentically, I think, is just always a great way to organically grow.
I love that. So Kerri, I'm gonna throw you in a second question behind that. How impactful was it for the growth of your business?
It was very impactful. My primary social channel is LinkedIn, and just being able to share my story through LinkedIn or being able to engage. I think that's another part of social, is not just you one-way talking. It's two-way talking and building relationships and using social as a channel in which to build those relationships. So it's huge. And, not all of your followers are going to buy or partner with you, but they may point you or refer you. And, it can be really limitless, right, the growth that you can have. So yeah, it's definitely been important, especially during pandemic.
Woo! My goodness, we're not gonna say that word again. Cass Butler Dunlap.
So I love everything that Kerri said. I think it really kind of was consistent with some of the stuff that you and I talked about earlier, Mary, with how I built my community. And, I would just add upon that, be consistent, just really show up as yourself consistently. And don't be discouraged by what you don't see. Just, continue to show up as your authentic self. So let's, So Kerri focused on LinkedIn. So let's think about traditional social media, like whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. If we're thinking about those channels, I would add on to that, figure out which one, where your community really resides. You don't have to be everywhere. And especially if you're doing it yourself, you can't do it all. You just have to really figure out where your community will exist and then build that community. And, and because this is a space that I exist in, consider perhaps influencer marketing. It's a really big avenue. It's replaced traditional media. It truly has. It's, probably, I think $20 billion is estimated to be spent in influencer marketing, projected through 2022. And if you, to find a person that might best represent your brand, I would say start researching the hashtags that say ad or spawn or SpawnCon or something along those lines, and just start really researching those profiles, and find someone that might best represent what it is that you are offering your product or service. Beyond that, maybe something like user-generated content. So create a hashtag for your brand, right? And have that right there in your bio, and start promoting that and creating content around that hashtag. So you're creating a community, right? And your community will start using that hashtag, right? And you're building a community around it, and they're creating content for you, and you're showcasing that in your feed, and they're starting to look for it. I've seen several brands who seldom create content. Their community creates content for them, right? And they're really engrossed in that brand and invested in that brand. I've seen brands grow that way, completely grow that way, from nothing to something huge, right? With user-generated content or UGC. So those are some ideas as well, just kind of off the cuff. But the most important thing is it's a community. It's just not you showing up and expecting people to love you and what you do. You have to build a relationship, and you've got to go and talk to them. Where your community exists, you've got to go and participate, right? Authentically, have conversations, and don't worry about if they're not immediately talking to you. If these are people you truly want to build relationships with, you've got to be consistent and do that all the time.
That is powerful. Lauren?
Yeah.
That is so great. And thank you so much for sharing that. So I wanted to share, so Innovator, one of the things that we do that's super easy to implement, and it helps a community grow exponentially in a very organic kind of way, is anytime we are talking about another business or another member or like a person or an organization or a product, tag that. Like people will be like, I really love Dr. Pepper. And I'm like, why did you not tag Dr. Pepper? Because you're going to find all of those Dr. Pepper lovers. You're going to access that network, and they'll see what you're doing, and clearly your values align. And like, it's just a super, super easy thing to do. And so I'm just, tag when you're talking about other people. You don't have to do it crazy intentionally, but if you're doing it, tag the other people so that you can access those networks. So I wanted to share that because that's something that we do at Innovator a lot.
Very well.
Making sure that we are highlighting other people in a very executable kind of way. Like, here is this brand, and look, we get to now access their followers and their networks. So I have a question, and I'm going to take it back a little bit back to the base, but we've been kind of talking about this all throughout. So one of the things that, this affects social, and it affects your website, and it pretty much affects every piece of your marketing messaging strategy. I want to talk about calls to action. So we haven't really talked about that yet. And one of the things, and I'll be the first one to tell you that in Innovator posts, like, I am sometimes guilty of this, but like, I always heard that, like, you don't post, you don't share content, you don't share a piece of yourself without asking something of your audience, whether that is click here to learn more, answer this question, engage with us. That is the way that you get people to engage, not just look at your stuff, but interact with it, right? Because that's what it's all about. So I want to talk to you about that. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start, I think, with Kerri. And I'm just going to say, what are some really effective call to action engagement strategies that you've seen people use? Or that you've used for clients? Feel free to toot your own horn.
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, I think it's a balance, because you want to be authentic in the call to action. So, I always say, especially with social, you don't want to always be pushing something every post, because you're wanting to create that community and that engagement. I think there are a lot of different things. If you have a specific campaign or event that's going on, that can always be really great to engage people. You can ask folks to share it with others. It just depends on what your goals are. And I think being strategic with when you use those call to actions can be helpful, because it doesn't always, at least in my experience, doesn't always have to have. If it's just there just to have it, it might not be authentic to what you're actually talking about.
Yeah.
With what it is. Does that make sense?
It does. And maybe when I said every time, like, that might have been a little bit of hyperbole, because, I like marketing and we're all about, we're the best.
Yeah.
All right. So how about you, Valerie? Oh, no, it looks like Dr. Cass has something she would like to add.
No, so I didn't know you were going around. I thought you were going to another question. So you can ask Valerie. And my apologies.
Okay. Well, Miss Valerie, do you have something you would like to share?
Sure. I'll try to make it brief. I would love to hear what Cass has to say. But in terms of calls to action, I definitely, they are going to vary by channel, of course. I think that kind of speaks to what Kerri was saying. I like to work closely with our paid media team in terms of establishing, what our strategies are by channel. We've put together a little bit of a matrix that kind of helps clients figure out, like, what are we trying to accomplish by channel? First of all, some channels are a little bit more informational. People are more in a research headspace. And so they're not looking really to be sold on something. But that said, if what you're trying to do is get people to do a certain action, you need to tell them to do that, because people aren't going to convert. They're not going to do what you want them to do unless you tell them that's what you want them to do. So that's what I always try to remind my clients about. And then I also try to remind them that we need to be constantly testing those different CTAs. So A/B testing our ad copy and messaging. And then I like to encourage share back with different departments as well. We can share back that messaging with creative teams as well. So to tell them, hey, people are really responding to this kind of messaging. If you want to, take that and run with that from a creative perspective, hopefully that's useful.
Yeah. Cass, how about you?
That was awesome, Valerie. So I will say this again. I think it's so important that if it's appropriate for your business, that we own we have our own websites, because we just have no control over these other channels or platforms. Facebook, so therefore Instagram, they really don't love call to actions in their media. They really want this to be an experience. They don't want the pressure of those sorts of things. And so their AI penalizes a call to action in video, in text, whatever it is. So you have to be very careful with your CTAs or how you're communicating them. And people really don't want to be sold anymore, right? They understand it. There's so much of it that happens in these platforms, and they don't want that. I believe that they are appropriate to an extent, but not a hardcore call to action. And so, you might ask in an authentic way, how do you feel about, instead of click here for, whatever it is. But if you're doing a funnel, you have a sales page or your landing page for your website, it's more appropriate. You want someone to do something, right? And so I think that's why it's just so important that we have our own real estate that has nothing to do with those channels, because we don't have any control over what happens. That is the biggest digital media platform. That's what it is. Right? They can do what they want with that, and they dictate how we operate on those platforms.
Yeah, well, and so I'm going to ask Jannae, and I am dying laughing over here because I think I'm going to call her out a little bit, but I think it's really important that you all know that she just sent me a private chat that says, I wholeheartedly believe the best marketing has no formal CTA. So she just flew in the face of everything that I just said. So, Jannae, expound on that for us a little bit.
Yes. Am I on mute? Okay. If we're speaking about an entry point into the funnel, getting someone to the webpage, a formal CTA, like go to my webpage, visit link in my bio. I think it's all down, it comes down to copywriting. And that features versus benefits and all the copywriting things that you hear go on a landing page, to me. On your social media or whatever your entry point is to get them to that landing page, you don't have to do that. If you are connecting and there's some humanization and you just make people want to, they become interested in you and whatever you're speaking about. So then they will just go click the link. It's almost like telling them to click the link makes them not want to click the link. So if I post, hey, I'm the market-based CEO, go check us out, it's like, maybe I'll check you out. But then I post a story about an interaction I had with a client and how I'm so proud and blah, blah, blah. It makes it real and people want real. So now I do want to go check out the market base. Right. And what Valerie said, yeah, especially on Facebook, these social media sites don't want you to redirect people somewhere else. So that algorithm thing, yeah, that's one of the things. Don't send anybody else to my site. I paid for traffic to get them here. You're not going to send them somewhere else. So I'd like to chat about landing pages and building email lists. I'm sorry, I'm reading Mary's.
Jannae.
We're just calling everybody out.
Yeah. Woo. I can speak about landing pages for sure because I just think it's really the most important, as well as email marketing. That is where you tell somebody to do something.
Because I was about to get really pissed if you said that's not good. I'd be like, now listen.
No.
I'm trying to get that.
No. When I'm speaking marketing, most of the things are landing pages. I love social media, and I think you can create a great online presence that way. But I think the marketing industry has created these parameters around what social media is, and people think it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and it's way more than that. It's just your online presence. It's social. Where are you social? Where can you be social? Where can you be yourself? For
Jannae,
me,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
No, I don't like posting on social media, and I'm in marketing. There, I said it. Like I don't like it, and I know that a lot of entrepreneurs don't like it, and they don't freaking have the time. It probably takes me 20 minutes to sit down and make a content plan, but I still don't have time to do it. So the landing page is where I want to focus my effort. It's where I feel like those are revenue producing actions. If I decide to post on my social media about something that happened in my real life, I think I'm interesting enough to make them want to go see what I'm about. And I know every entrepreneur is, because we're all idealists, we're all creatives. Mm-hmm. We all we have a passion to help in some type of way.
That's good. That's good.
I love that. No, I think that's so true.
There's not my social media is things like this. People find out about me not because I post on social media every day. People find out because I'm sitting on panels and networking and going to events, and that's where I'm comfortable operating. So it's authentic. I think some people are not authentic or come off as authentic because they're operating based on what someone told them to do. Go make a YouTube, but you're not even comfortable on video, so you look crazy. You know what I'm saying? So find where you are comfortable. Like, I'm comfortable talking to people, so I have to be online where I can talk to people, panels, commenting on other people's things and just having conversations and listening to their issues, then I can go back and make my landing page, whatever. And also, if you have to write it, then erase it.
Okay. I want to chat on, are you using, so I'm gonna go around, we're gonna do a quick fire drill. Are you using landing pages in your business? And how's it working for you? Kerri and then Cass.
Go, Kerri.
Okay, I'll go quickly. I'll just say, yes, I'm actually building some right now. The hardest thing for me is to do things for my own business. So I'm working on that muscle because I'm my own biggest critic. But yes, building some, and I hope they go really well.
Awesome. Dr.
Same.
Cass.
Landing pages are important. I'm a believer in having that real estate. The hardest part is like split testing them. You know, using a different company that does some of these kind of things for you, so you can kind of see where you can do some of the best split tests and the analytics behind the scenes. But yeah, love for landing pages. Mm-hmm.
All right, Valerie, what you got? Landing pages?
I had to find my mouse for a second. Where'd it go? Yeah, no, totally agree with everybody. I encourage custom landing pages whenever possible. You want to customize your content to what people are looking for. We don't always get it. Definitely agree with Cass. You want to test as much as possible. Analytics is your friend. Data is your friend.
I'm not shocked at all that you you would be the one that you're like, data, yes. And I'm just
was
you are in exactly the right job. Are you not? Yes, you are. So we're coming up in the home stretch, friends. You know, so we've got about 4 minutes left.
Oh, wow.
And I just want to ask you this. Do you have any final thoughts that maybe we haven't shared previously? Like if you actually, I'm going to ask it this way. If you could share one key message with your clients and have them internalize it and live it and love it and do it because it's that important, what would that piece of advice be? Ha! How do you like that? And I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to put Dr. Cass in the hot seat. You're a little bit right now, right?
You would. You know, just put on your blinders and stop worrying about every new hot thing that comes on the scene. Focus on what's best for you. Don't create. I think what I'm trying to say here is, you know, don't stop create. Find the right thing for your customer, for your clients, and don't worry about anything else. You know, just find what's right for them and don't worry about the rest.
Yeah. Oh, that's truly beautiful. Valerie, I'm just going to go in clockwise order for me.
Sure. I think we've had a little bit of a thread of this going on, but let people tell you what they're interested in. Let people show you what they're looking for. And there's a couple of ways to go at that. But there are a couple of things I highly encourage. One of them is to step back every once in a while from being in the weeds. We are in the weeds all the time. And sometimes we get so caught up in that we forget that there are people on the other side of the screen or of the purchase or of whatever. And so I always encourage myself and anyone else to just like step into their shoes for a minute and do a few searches, do a few, you know, hang out on your website for a while and experience what they're doing for a while. And the other side of that is just be constantly measuring, because you may feel very strongly about what you think is going to happen, and we are not always right. So I've seen a lot of times where like we're in a rush to launch something, and so like, okay, well, we don't need to tag that or track that. We'll skip that step and we'll go ahead and launch. Don't do that, please. Please measure, please.
Okay. Well, you know, well said, and clearly very important. Kerri.
I'm going to echo a bit of what Cass said, but just focusing on you and your core and your people, and not trying to get, like she said, too distracted by all of the new things, because there's always something more going on. And I think also ask for help, invest in help, see it as an investment, not as an expense.
Yeah, I love that. Because I just know too many, and we've mentioned this, but I just know too many organizations who are like, oh, marketing is this expense out there. And it's like, no, marketing is how people find you. And that's pretty crucial. So it is an investment. I love that so much. Jannae, a final word.
Oh my God, so much.
I know, a lot of pressure for you, right?
I think with marketing, listening should inform everything that you do, from the content that you put out to even your products. And you should take your cues straight from the consumer. Personally, business and life have a genuine interest in human beings and what makes them tick. And am always looking to understand what people are giving their attention to and why. And I think that's where, I'm sorry, my dog is on the door trying to get in. But I think that would be key. It eliminates a lot of the guesswork for you. If you don't know about marketing, if you don't know about SEO, if you don't know about content plans, marketing strategy, that is your strategy. Just listening, and social media will give you a direct line to all of the above. So there's free market research available to you at any moment if you are willing to pay attention.
Yeah. Well, some profound thoughts from all of you. And I want to take a moment to say thank you so much for sharing of your time, and most importantly, your expertise. You are all brilliant experts at what you do, and the fact that you're so freely willing to share of your experience, it's an honor. And we're just very grateful for you. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. The time has flown by, and in fact, we've gone a little over time, but don't tell anybody. But thank you so much, friends. And Mary, I just want to invite you, if you have some final thoughts to share, I'd love to hear them, because you are our illustrious board president, and we always want to hear what you have to say.
Yes, I am. Listen, if you're not following all of these fabulous women, find their websites, find all their social media sites, get to their LinkedIn pages, follow them, check them out, see what they're doing. When we share this video, share it. We want to highlight all of the fabulous women that we have in our KC metro area that are doing phenomenal things in the community, phenomenal things in their businesses, and take the time out to share with us. Make sure you're following us, follow Innovator. Follow us, share us. We have so many great things that are coming up. We're getting back out into the community. Look for us, come hang out with us. We'll keep you safe. You keep us safe. And we look forward to seeing you in person very soon.
Yes. And again, thank you. So thank you to our panelists. Thank you to Mary, but thank you most importantly to the folks watching at home. We would not be where we are and who we are, and we wouldn't exist without our amazing innovators and our friends and our co-conspirators and our allies. And that's all of you. So thank you so much. You honor us with your amazing, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.